Hey everybody, this is Stu Smith, and we have a special guest, Remi Adeleke. And this is a two through and after part two. If you guys remember
Yeah,
back in September, we did a two through and after and heard of Remi's incredible story, from growing up, born in Nigeria and raised in the United States, a single mom, and his journey into the Navy and his couple of different attempts at SEAL training and then finally kicking it, getting it
sure.
done. I mean, you guys got to hear that one because that's incredible. But the cool thing about it is Remi has written a book about his life, right? And it's not your typical SEAL book. This is a book that is such a rewarding read, and it's so funny because I've read it a couple of times now, and each time I'm thinking, did he go this way? Did he go that way? I'm not sure which way you were going. You had so many
Yeah,
things going on that
yeah,
you managed to through pure persistence and never quitting,
yeah.
reach those dreams, which is just that's what the story is all about. So,
Amen.
what's your synopsis of the book, and when's it come out? Tell us a little bit more about all
Um,
that.
yeah, so the book is going to come out May 14th, so a little bit over a month from now. It's going to be on bookshelves. And yeah, I agree with you. It's a journey story. It's a story of. It's funny. I spoke at an event a couple weeks ago, and the host of the event read my book as well. He read the pre-advance copy, and he said, "Remi, this book is a book of failure. Because in the book you failed so much, but the cool thing about it is you didn't just waddle in your failures and just quit and give up. You took the lessons that you learned from those failures and you kept moving forward." And it was interesting because when he said that, I was like, wow, in writing the book, I never thought about it like that. I was just telling my story, but now in reflection, I totally see how it's literally a book of failures.
Ooh.
And I think that's cool because like so many other, SEAL books and or special operations books, in my personal opinion, I think a lot of the focus is more on, success, right? You made it
Right,
through buds, went on
right.
this operation, you caught this guy, you did this, you did that. And that's cool. I'm not knocking that in any way, but this is different where I'm showing you like the science behind it, and the science behind getting to point B is failing over and over and over and over again, but not quitting at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I think that is awesome. I mean, I think we definitely need more, you know, programs and books out there and stories out there of people who just were persistent and
Yeah.
never quit. They had a dream and they just kept on going. I mean, that's really what this is all about. And we talk about this a lot in the first podcast. And you
Yeah.
guys got to get the book. I'll share the link in the bio here of this video and audio. If you're watching it on iTunes or Google Play, just check out the description and you'll see where to get the book. But Remi has been moving so much that we had to do a second video on
Yeah.
Remi's two through and after because he's got an after squared. Right, so this is Remi's two through and after squared because he just
Yeah.
keeps on moving, right? And so
Yes, sir.
let's start it off with the most important. You and your wife had your third child.
Yep, yep. We just had our third boy last week, March 27th. Carter
Congratulations.
Jeremiah Adeleke. So he's
Oh,
got the American name, but we also gave him his Yoruba name as well.
right.
So we're super excited about him. I grew up a boy without a father. So to have now three boys,
Ooh.
it's like a redemptive arc for me. I feel like it's like a story of redemption. So it's such a blessing to have my third
It's
son.
it's incredible. They are lucky children, but as
Thank you.
as parents, we are also blessed and lucky to have them in our lives as well. Because I think
Amen.
those little creatures have a way of just doubling and tripling the size of your heart, right?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. So that is incredible. Thank you and
yeah,
congratulations there.
thank
So
you.
I know whenever we were filming last time, you had we had to jumble some schedule issues because you were
Yeah,
always off filming
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
some really high big producer and director. So what was
Yeah.
that you were filming last year?
Yeah, so last year I started in about July. We finished. Well, it was hot and heavy. I started pre-production in July. We were boots on the ground filming in September. And there's a Netflix film by the name of Six Underground. And it's supposed to come out summer of 2019, but it's an action comedy. Ryan Reynolds is the lead. So for all you Deadpool fans.
Oh, that's awesome. I love him. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. For all you Deadpool fans, he's coming out with another action comedy. Corey Hawkins. He's another lead in the film. He played Dr. Dre Straight Outta Compton. He played, he was in Kong Skull Island. And Adria, she's also a fantastic actress. She was actually just recently in Triple Frontier, which is a movie that just came out on Netflix about ex-special forces guys trying to take down a drug lord. So, yeah, it was a big, epic film, a lot of action pieces, a lot of, comedy. I started out, I had a small role in it, but I had a small role in it from an acting perspective, but I had a big role in it from a consulting perspective. I worked almost with every department. I worked with the costume department to help get the costumes accurate. I worked with the props department to make sure the props and the weapons were accurate. I worked with the armorers. I even worked on set. There were times when Michael Bay was getting ready to shoot a scene, and he'd be like, "Hey, Remy, how would they move in this scene? How should we shoot this from the perspective of the operators?" And I would kind of help out there. And then also there were times when, Ryan Reynolds was on set or Bay was on set or Corey, and they said, "Hey, this line says this, but, I don't feel like, I feel like I can say it differently. How would you say it here? Or what would you call X, Y, and Z?" So I even had a little play in tweaking, minor tweaks in dialogue, which, comes from the script. So yeah, I started on Boots on the Ground in September. We filmed in Italy. We were all over Italy. It was awesome. I was in Rome. There was another part of Italy. I can't remember the name, but we were in the very southern part, and we were also in Florence. So that was a good time. Got to experience some good food.
And then never had a bad meal. Never had a bad meal in Italy. Oh,
yeah, had a lot of. I put on like 10 pounds out there. And then we were in Abu Dhabi. So spent some time in Abu Dhabi filming out there as well, and that was a good time. It was hot, but it was still fun. So yeah, and the film was going to come out in summer 2019.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. So you got an acting part, and sounds like you are like the jack of all trades on set. Yeah. That's a pretty valuable person for a director, I would imagine. So
absolutely. Especially Bay, he likes his films to be as authentic as possible, and so he doesn't mind leaning on advisors like myself or other guys from our background, special operations to do what we do on set. So it's definitely a great opportunity. Man. And it's a great learning opportunity. I think it was through being on set that I really began to learn the business more. I began to learn, directing to a certain extent, where, this desire within me bubbled up to be a director at some point. And I think that's right now my next goal. But it also really motivated me as a writer. I wrote this film, I started writing a film back in July, and I wrote a good chunk of it while I was, working on Six Underground. And so, as I was on set and I had breaks, I would just sit with my laptop and write. I would use every minute I could to just soak it all in. And so it really motivated me. And then now that's kind of where my trajectory is going now.
That's really good. So you said you had a couple of screenplays that you are getting shopped around and looked at and potentially actually purchased and made?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll back up a little bit just so you can the audience can get the full context. When I was in the SEAL teams, actually before I was even in the SEAL teams, I talk about it in my book. As a kid, my mom would make my brother and I write reports when we got in trouble, and we hated it. We couldn't stand it. But it ended up paying off when I got into the teams. And one of my jobs in the teams was intelligence collection. And that required a lot of writing because, I had to go out and meet with people and collect information, and that information couldn't be recorded.
Yeah.
It had to, from verbally, it had to be documented. And so I had to write these detailed reports about the meeting, about the person, and that really began to grow me as a writer. So fast forward to my book. originally I was supposed to write the book. Originally, my mom was contracted to write the book, but after she wrote the first 3 chapters, I read it and I was just like, wow, this is not my voice.
Yeah.
It's not my story. It's not my voice. It's not who I am. And so I didn't fire her, but I kind of let her go. And I said, hey, Ma, I need to do this. And I started from scratch and I wrote it. And then fast forward, after I turned it into the publisher, they loved it. And then everybody else who read it was just like, wow, this is great. You're gifted as a writer. So it was through that, I finished writing the book in March of 2018, and I finished doing my edits in I want to say the end of May of 2018, and then fast forward to July. That's when I was like, I'm gonna write this script. I felt confident enough to write a film, so that's when I started writing my first film, The Chameleon, and then from there, got on set, and being on set, I got more motivation, and then from there, in December, I shopped it around to different people in the industry, and almost everybody who read it loved it. They were just like, wow, this is amazing. And there was a production company that wanted to pick it up and turn it into a film, but the budget for the film would be too much. A lot of their films budgets are around 50 million, 40 to 50 million and below. And this film was going to be above a $50 million budget. Wow. So the executive at the production company said, hey, we'd love to do it, but it's just going to be too much out of our budget. But if there's anything we could do in the future, let us know. So, I sent it out to another production company called Zero Gravity Management and Productions, and they read it and they loved it. And not only did they want the script, they wanted to sign me. So they signed me as a writer.
Oh.
Yeah. So and Zero Gravity, they produced Ozark on Netflix. They produced The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
Oh,
they
classic.
Produced Kyle Mary. Yeah, they produce a lot of awesome projects. They're actually producing a project now with LeBron James and Octavia Spencer about Madam C.J. Walker, the first African American multimillionaire. And so this is a massive company. And so they decided to sign me, and when I signed with them, they were just like, hey, our goal is to get this movie made. We just need you to do rewrites. So for the last month and a half, I've been doing rewrites on the script, and it's this close to
ready
to go to market. Wow.
Wow.
And that production company that originally wanted to be a part of it, but didn't have the budget, just came back and said, hey, we don't have the budget, but we'd like to help finance this film, with what we can, if we can partner with whatever studio or production company ends up producing it. So that right there is a great sign that this script is going to be made, because we already have people committing to put up billions of dollars for it to get made. So,
man,
yeah.
That's impressive, man. Great job.
Well, thank you, brother.
You are just multi-talented, getting it all done.
Yeah, get it from the teams. We get it from the teams. I think, one thing I learned in the teams, and this as well as any SEAL, we're trained to be flexible. We're trained to be able to adapt to new environments.
Yeah.
One moment we could be doing reconnaissance missions. The next moment we could be doing diving missions. The next moment we could do it, a drop in from an airplane. Next moment we could be doing intel collection. And I've done just like you, I've done all of these. I've worked in all of these different spectrums, and so having to be flexible and having to be a jack of all trades in the teams has given me the confidence to try to be the jack of all trades in the civilian sector, from writing
absolutely,
and other things as well.
Absolutely, I would agree with that 100%. I have seen that occur countless times with our counterparts, whether they were going to be lawyers or doctors or inventors, you name it. And it's quite an impressive, never quit mentality. I think, be honest with you, I think we learn it during Hell Week, because I think we learn Hell Week is, when you finish Hell Week, you realize that your body is 10 times stronger than your mind will let it be. And it almost keeps you in that positive mindset of oh, I got to stay up all night to get this done. I'll get it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can learn this. And I tell you what, a lot of buds and post buds is steep learning curves. I mean, think about, you're spending a day on the range, or you're spending, you got 3 new weapons you got to master, or you're spending a day on demo range, and you're, making bombs and, just making charges and stuff. And you're just I got to learn this stuff pretty quickly, or
No, absolutely.
you're not going to be
Go
part.
away.
Yeah, exactly. So,
And and the cool thing about writing is hard. Everybody can't do right. Writing it's like Buds is and working out and doing push-ups and pull-ups and swims and all that stuff is hard physically. Writing is hard mentally.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to crank out a really, really good story. But going back to our foundation and Hell Week and all of these things, because Hell Week is hard physically and somewhat mentally, it prepares us to do harder things in life.
I would think
every time I sat at the computer to write a screenplay or to write my book or to write whatever I'm writing, and it got hard, I'm able to look back at my reference points, which is Hell Week was harder. I'm being on an operation in Fallujah where it was one of our first direct. It was our first and only day direct operation mission where we have to go capture a guy that's 130 degrees outside and we're chasing this dude through the freaking the wilderness. And it sucks. Those things were hard. So when I'm able to go back and reference those in my mind as I'm sitting at the computer, I'm like, you know what? The screenplay is not going to write itself. I've been through harder. Let's keep pushing. Let's get this done.
Yeah, you know what? I think there's also another thing is, a lot of people get analysis, paralysis by analysis, right? There's just so much that they have to figure out. And then if you're a perfectionist too, that can stop you. I mean, you just got to get started, get moving, and get something done. Then you can perfect it later, right? You have another set of eyeballs on it, and your team will make it better. My editor teams, make all my stuff better, right? But I got to get it done, and you got to get it done and quickly. And sometimes the best way to get it done is just start doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, like Nike said, just do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we have, let's recap. Got a new baby, three boys, which is incredible. You have a book coming out in May, and we'll post that. You have 2 screenplays you're shopping.
Yeah. So the first one is The Chameleon.
Right.
And it's an espionage thriller. It's a unique. I kind of liken it to. It's a mix between, I would say, The Matrix and Sicario, because there's a lot of hidden messages within it where you really, if you don't pay attention, you could potentially miss it. But the cool thing, the way I wrote it is, I wrote it for people to watch it a second time.
Oh, okay.
The first time you'll love it because you'll be like, wow, this is awesome. But as you get deeper into the film, there's going to be some things you're not going to catch everything. So when you go back and watch it a second time, things that happen at the beginning, you'll be, oh, that's why that happened. And then, oh, I saw this. Oh, this was a setup. So
I
that's
like
the way I
movies
tried
like
to write the film.
I like movies like that.
It's a thinking man and woman's movie. It's not this tradition. You can't just go watch it and have explosions and just check out some action. You really you have to participate, and I learned that from, there's a fantastic writer and director in Italy. His name eludes me at this point, but that's the way he tried to write and make his films. He tried to write in a way where the audience is participating, in the film. They're part of the film to a certain extent. So anyway, that's the first film. It's merely an second film I'm writing now, which there's been a lot of interest in. And I can't go into great detail, just because we don't want the company we don't want people to take the idea, but it's a historical story about about the first group of African Americans to serve in special operations. So it's a fascinating story. It's like one of those hidden figure stories that that no one really knew about until the film came out. And it's just rich with lessons. It's rich with reconciliation. It's a fascinating story. But anyway, that's the next film I'm writing, and I'm learning so much about history in the process as well. But we're hoping to have that done before my book releases, which I'm assuming that this podcast is going to release when after my book is released, so the day of my book. So the book is released, but we're hoping to have this done by the time the audience hears this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah, yeah,
that is impressive. And you're acting and consulting. Now, when you consult on set, I know that's probably where you got started, right? Is
yeah,
that how you got started into it? You were consulting.
yeah. Yep. It was a combination of consulting, heavy, acting, minimal.
Right.
But yeah, yep,
That's cool. So you took your skill set that you had in, military special ops living, and
yeah.
then you applied it to, very, high action films.
No,
Right.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, just going back to that field mentality, the more I consulted, whether it be helping out with the script or whether it be, helping out the costume, the more in my mind I was just like, I'm getting paid here. I'm getting a basic salary to
Yeah.
do this job. And I was just like, there's more to this job than just showing a person how to hold a gun and walk in a room.
Right.
Like, yeah, is the money good to do that? And yeah, is it fun to do that? Absolutely. I'm not knocking it any way, but that's, after doing it so much, I was just like, I want to do more.
Yeah.
I want to produce, I want to direct, I want to do all it. But essentially, consulting was my way
I
in.
love it.
And it's a great job. It's a great job.
Yeah.
You get to hang with some great people and travel the world. I've been able to travel the world with different projects and yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, we will definitely have this out, and it'll be on iTunes, Google Play,
Yeah.
Spotify, and on YouTube. And we'll
Yes.
post it all over social media so people can hear about it. But
Yes, sir.
any last bit? What is the next after for you?
Oh,
What's
the
coming
next
up next?
what's coming up next is there's been a lot of interest in the book being turned into a film.
Ah,
So
nice.
and that's that was another reason why I got into writing films because I have this strategic mind. Back last year in January of 2018, before I even finished writing the book, a major studio approached me and they said, "Hey, we want to turn your book into a film," and I hadn't even finished writing. They just heard about the story, and
Wow.
so that's when I was like, okay, if people are bringing me in now so early, to turn my book into a film, I better have some more content created. So when my book comes out, I have more irons to fire versus here's the rights to my book and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's something that's going to come down the pipe. My book being turned into a film. I'm still playing around with the idea of whether I'm going to write the screenplay or allow another writer to write the screenplay. So that's coming down the pipe. Obviously, this film I'm writing now, The Last Shall Be First, about as I just shared, getting that done, and then The Chameleon, getting that sold, and getting a major actor and director attached to it that can go into production. So those are my next big things, and help I help out with different organizations as it relates to inner city. Just trying to use my platform to change narrative as it relates to minorities in the inner city and trying to inspire kids who come from where I came from to reach higher. So I was just reached out to yesterday to help out with an event in PA in Philadelphia, and I'm gonna be doing a lot more of that as time passes. Just giving back. Because I've been blessed to receive so much. And I
Yeah.
think that it would be a great sin for me to just receive all of these blessings and not go back to the communities I came from and give back or inspire or teach. So that's something that I've been doing, and that's something that I think as time passes is going to just continue to grow and grow.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you're ever in the Baltimore, DC area, you
Yes,
gotta you
sir.
gotta gotta let me know. I'll come get
Most
you
definitely.
and I'll show you around.
Most definitely.
We got restaurants in my family down here, and
Okay.
my money's no good there, so you gotta get a free
All
meal
right.
out of the deal. So
I like it. I like it. I like it. I'll be out there for my book tour. So we'll
oh,
definitely, I'll be in DC for my book tour. So,
okay,
we'll
awesome.
definitely get together.
I will be there. Looking forward to it, my friend. Hey, thank you so much. And we'll do another one of these. And,
Yes.
whenever you have time, especially when you get another movie out there and another book out there, I'm so excited for you, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Stu. I appreciate you, man.
You bet. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
everybody, for listening.